A hard pad versus a cloth pad, a glass pad versus a plastic pad, $15 for a SteelSeries QCK, or 90 or maybe 100 for a artisan from Japan. There are so many ways you can spend money on this hobby. Obviously, that's kind of the purpose of having options, right? You can spend your money however you'd like to. But what's the best for getting good at games, and what's the best for rising to the top level of competition? At the end of the day, it's preference, but my preference here is a glass pad by far. Let's talk about it real quick. Cloth and soft pads, they're really good for a lot of things. Let's talk about the good parts, and then we'll head into the bad parts. So the good parts of a cloth pad, cheap as heck. 15 bucks for a SteelSeries QCK Plus. You can get them in really any size. You can get them in various thicknesses for, accounting for, say, if there's a bump in your table, whatever, if you like pushing down on the mouse, so you want some more thickness, whatever. Every sort of option you're going to want for a soft or a cloth pad is available, and it's pretty cheap. However, let's talk about the bad parts, right? Well, let's start from the very top. The first thing that comes to mind when you're talking about a con about a cloth pad is inconsistency. What does that mean, right? What am I talking about here? I'm talking about inconsistency because of a couple different factors: humidity, dirt, and overall just wear and tear on the pad. Humidity is a big one because for a person like me who's lived in Michigan, lived in New York, lived, in a couple places across the US, humidity changes a lot from the summer to the winter, from a rainy day to a not rainy day. And that humidity, you can feel it in your mouse pad. Should you not be living in a climate-controlled, AC-controlled environment 24/7, which I know probably none of you are, cloth pads can be really damn annoying. You're swiping over your mouse and you encounter a dead zone. Boom, your mouse is tracking weirder than it was a second ago, and you missed the kill. What is a dead zone? A dead zone is any spot on your mouse that you're tracking over and it gets slow, be it because of the humidity, because of the dirt, because of the dust, dander, pet hair, whatever it may be, it is causing you to track inconsistently. So how do you get rid of that? You get a hard pad. Hard pads, though, are not that simple either. Let's break it down. Hard pads, I really like them because all you have to do to completely nullify those variables I was talking about earlier, right? Humidity, dirt, dander, whatever. All you have to do is wipe it down before each session. Take a microfiber cloth, take some solution, wipe that bad boy down, boom, you're back to new. You're playing at your top performance again. No dead zones, no wear and tear, especially if you're using a durable hard pad. When I'm speaking of hard pads, in my experience, I really love a glass pad over a plastic pad, over any sort of hybrid pad that's come out, because of the feeling, right? That glass pad that I'm using, and the glass pad that I'm talking about right now is the Super Glide glass pad from Pulsar. They use this machined glass finish that's supposed to be like Gorilla Glass 3 or something, and it's really smooth. Gone, really, are the days of having a hard pad that is extremely scratchy and annoying, like those plastic ones that you've seen come out way early in the 2000s, or even in, before really these glass pads got popular. Hard pads were thought of just as plastic pieces that you would leave on your desk. Super scratchy, super annoying, and not a lot of fun to use. They were often also pretty rough on your arm, so that's never been a fun thing. However, hard pads have come a long way, dude. And at this point, the glass pads being produced by Pulsar or being produced by SkyPad are really damn good. However, there are some cons that still need to be talked about, right? Overall, if there's a piece of hair or a piece of dust on your pad, while it may not get in your pad like it would with a cloth pad and become impossible to get out, where you'd have to replace pretty much the whole thing, you're gonna feel each piece of hair, debris, or really anything else that collects on the pad. So it's going to be annoying. You'll be swiping and then you'll feel what feels like a grain of sand or something under your mouse. You'll pick it up, maybe like a stray hair from the cat, a stray hair from your own head. Who the heck knows? This is just something to be conscious about when you're buying a hard pad, but it's not something that should put you off of getting a hard pad because, like I said, all you got to do is keep that microfiber cloth handy, boom, wipe it down, and you're back to new. Two, having owned the Hayate Otsu, having owned the Hien, having owned QCK Plus, and just really a menagerie of other cloth pads, it does not compare to a glass pad. A plastic pad, on the other hand, may be a bit more scratchy. However, it will be a bit more affordable than glass pad. So if you can't really afford a glass pad just yet, I would bide your time, get used to a hard pad, and then take those advantages that you've gained from getting the hard pad, and then you can move to a glass pad once your budget is, ready for that. One thing that I wanted to mention with the glass pad is that I do use a sleeve, an arm sleeve. It covers from my elbow all the way up my forearm and up a little bit onto my palm. This is because I find that on a glass pad, my hands get slightly sweaty, just a tad more moist than I'd prefer them to be, and this can lead to your skin sticking on the glass. While it's not a huge problem for me personally, I have friends that have encountered it, but let's go back to the first point. Why I use that sleeve anyways is that I find that it helps with my micro corrections, and that's a point where hard pads do suffer a bit over cloth pads, and the micro corrections are harder to make on a glass pad. However, with some good muscle control, with some good practice, your ability to move from point to point will be much quicker on a glass pad. And so if you can own in on that muscle control, own in on that precision, you'll be quicker on a hard pad and you'll be accurate as well. So, like I said, I just hit my peak in Valorant with this glass pad. I feel like it's made a large difference for me personally, so I wanted to share this experience with you guys. Let's continue to talk about feeling for a second, right? Glass versus plastic pads. Glass, in my experience, is less scratchy feeling than a plastic pad. The glass can definitely feel like butter, especially if you're using some nice PTFE feet. Maybe it's the ones that came stock with your mouse. Maybe it's a couple of replacement ones that you've got, whatever. I say PTFE feet specifically because to my knowledge, you can't use glass feet with a glass pad. It makes a lot of sense. The glass would scratch the glass. At the end of the day, that's what I'm running, though. I've got a sleeve on all the way up to my wrist to help with micro corrections, cut down on the moisture. I wipe down my pad before every use, and I'm using PTFE feet on my Razer Death Adder V3 Faker Edition. But with that setup, I've hit my newest peak in Valorant. It feels really good to play any sort of FPS, and I'm consistent all the time. Gone are the days of having to deal with dead zones. Gone are the days of having to get new pads super consistently, maybe every 3 to 6 months to try and deal with those dead zones. And gone are the days of having to put my freaking pad in the bathtub and giving it a bath like a infant baby, because I really hated doing all that, man. It was really annoying, and if you hate it too, the glass pad, the hard pad might just be the way to go. So let me know your preference. Did you end up going glass, plastic, or a cloth pad? Maybe a hybrid, maybe somewhere in between. There are a lot of options on the market, and I made this video to hopefully help you guys make a decision. Honestly, thanks so much for watching. I'm Jabasco, and I'll see you guys in the next one.